Heartwarming moment. Disguised millionaire discovered incredible life-changing gift from girl. 12. In the heart of Maplewood, a small suburb where the air carried the sweet scent of blooming tulips and familiar faces filled the streets, lived Jack, a mechanic with grease-stained hands that told tales of long hours and unyielding dedication. Yet beneath the surface, worry etched into his brow like a permanent shadow. Business was slow at his shop, and with every service called in, his burden of providing for Clara and their 12-year-old daughter, Mia, weighed heavier. Clara's warm smile brightened their dim kitchen, but even her unwavering spirit couldn't entirely lift the darkness closing in. Mia, with her bright eyes and dreams bigger than Maplewood itself, tried to bring light into their home, but silence often filled their dinner table, unspoken fears hanging thick in the air. Mia believed in hope and resilience, painting the world with her colorful crafts and aspirations. Her laughter should have permeated their home like the spring breeze, but Jack's frustration translated into distance. He immersed himself in work, isolated and hardened by mounting pressures that silenced the love surrounding him. Clara often glanced between them, attempting to bridge the gap, but uncertainty festered, leaving their family dynamic fragile. One evening, amid the hum of the community center bustling with a charity event meant to revive their town, fate intervened. Robert, a wealthy businessman disguised in a simple cap and plaid shirt, strolled through the organized chaos, yearning for perspective far beyond the emptiness his wealth sometimes held. There, amidst homemade crafts and baked goods, he stumbled upon Mia as she presented her vibrant ornaments for charity. In that moment, simplicity danced before Robert, a girl, full of passion, unaware of her impact. When Mia gifted him a hand-painted ornament glimmering with hues of blue and gold, symbols of hope, he felt a warmth he hadn't experienced in years. It resonated deeply, unveiling feelings he thought had long been buried. That night, as Mia rushed home with excitement, Jack's simmering frustration reached a boiling point. Her innocent craft, her sweetness, weren't filled with enough grounding in reality. "You don't get it," he snapped, the words escaping before he could swallow them. The enchaining of tensions thickened the air. Clara's troubled expression mirrored their turmoil, drowning any laughter Anna conjured. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. When Robert learned of Jack's struggles, a sense of urgency filled his heart. Inspired by Mia, they hatched a plan for an automotive repair workshop, aiming to spotlight Jack's craftsmanship while repairing the frayed connections of their family and community. All around town, people began to rally for Jack. It sparked something magical. Yet, Robert wrestled within his mind, hesitant to reveal his wealth, an invisible barrier ballooning between them. Would Jack see him as a revered ally, or would his pride construct a wall too tall to climb? The tension of unspoken truths grew heavier when Robert shared the workshop's intent with Clara, who saw a glimmer of hope for her family. As preparations began, Jack stood at the crossroads of choices: pride or the pot of gold waiting at the end of a rainbow of support. Outside his shop, he looked towards smiling faces gathering in expectation, while uncertainty turned his resolve to dust. Would he embrace the hands reaching out to lift him, or remain shackled by stubbornness? The workshop on the horizon held more than just help. It whispered of transformation, love, and a much-needed reunification. The day of the workshop arrived with the promise of a fresh start. Jack stood in front of the shop, the morning sun illuminating the faces of eager townsfolk gathered outside. Clara, usually the steady guiding force, clutched Mia's hand tightly, both of them exchanging glances filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Jack's heart raced as he took in the crowd, yet the weight of pride felt heavy on his shoulders. "Dad!" Mia's voice broke through his thoughts. She tugged at his shirt, her eyes shining with excitement. "Look at everyone who came out to support you. Jack forced a smile, but in the back of his mind, he felt an ache. Would they really be able to turn this around? As he stepped into the shop, he caught sight of Robert, who'd been arranging tools and parts with effortless ease. Dressed in that same humble cap, Robert exuded a warmth that felt inviting. He glanced over, noticing Jack's apprehensive demeanor. "Hey," Robert called out, his voice steady. "We've got this. Just think about all the people counting on you." Jack nodded, but the knot in his stomach tightened. With a deep breath, he took his position at the front of the shop. The crowd quieted as Robert stepped forward. "Welcome, everyone. Today is about community and passion. Together we'll pave the way for something great." The words rolled off Robert's tongue, igniting flickers of excitement in the audience. As Jack stood beside him, he could feel the eyes on him, unsure if they were curious or simply rooting for him. "Yeah, this is a chance to show what we can do," he said, his voice firming with each word. Mia's face lit up with pride, and Clara's smile radiated warmth. Still, doubts nibbled at Jack's resolve. Throughout the day, families and friends cycled through the shop, sharing stories and laughter. Children raced about with Mia, delighted by the energy her crafts injected into the space. Slowly, laughter and camaraderie began weaving through the walls that had felt so isolating before. As Jack and Robert worked side by side, fixing cars and teaching others about their trade, an unspoken bond started to form. Robert opened up, sharing stories of his own struggles and how he had once let pride stand in the way of what truly mattered. "Sometimes we just need a push, a little help to see the beauty in vulnerability," he said, his eyes earnest. Jack pondered those words. Maybe vulnerability wasn't a weakness after all. Amid the clanging of tools and shared laughter, something shifted inside him. The warmth began to replace the gnawing doubts, and he realized that accepting help could lead to growth not just for himself, but for Clara and Mia too. Later that afternoon, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the workshop culminated in a moment of celebration. The shop, once filled with desolation, now brimming with wearied but joyous laughter. Clara hugged Jack, their barriers crumbling, as Robert beamed proudly at their transformation. But just as the sense of bond reached its zenith, a car pulled up, its engine growling ominously. Jack's heart sank as he recognized the owner, Paul, a longtime competitor whose gaze was anything but friendly. As Paul stepped out, the unease surged back. He approached Jack with a smirk that sent a chill through the air. "Looks like you've got a little community help now," Paul sneered. "But are you really keeping it together? Or just a facade?" Jack's fists clenched, his newfound hope struggling against rising tension. How would he respond? Could he stand tall against the shadows of doubt lurking right at his doorstep? Jack's heart raced as he met Paul's gaze. The smirk on Paul's face sliced through the warm air, chilling Jack to the bone. Doubts crept back into his mind, whispering that maybe this was all a dream, too good to be true. He wanted to lash out, to defend his hard-fought progress, but the words felt stuck in his throat. "Just trying to make something of myself," Jack managed, his voice steady despite the knot twisting in his stomach. "Maybe you should try it yourself rather than tearing others down." A ripple of gasps spread through the crowd, surprised by the confrontation. Paul's eyes narrowed, taking note of the crowd gathering around them. "I doubt this little workshop will hold up under real pressure. What happens when the shine wears off?" He folded his arms, clearly enjoying the tension he de-sparked. "You think they'll stick around when you hit a bump?" Clara stepped forward, her voice firm but soft. "We're here to build something real, Paul. Your negativity can't touch what we've got." Jack felt a surge of warmth at her words. Together they could face this challenge. He took a deep breath, gathering his resolve. "You're right about one thing, Paul. It won't be easy. But we've already come so far. And we'll keep going. Together." The crowd began nodding in agreement, murmurs of support swelling like a wave. Robert's sideway glance affirmed Jack's stride, bolstering the energy bouncing around the shop. It was astonishing how quickly they had formed a united front, each person bringing their own strength into the fold. Paul seemed momentarily taken aback, but he quickly masked it with a forced laugh. Community spirit and all that? Cute. But in reality, how long can you play nice? What matters is how long we can sustain this together. Jack shot back, feeling the warmth radiate from Mia as she joined Clara at his side. We're not just building a workshop, we're building relationships. That's what really counts. Mia looked up at Jack, her face a mix of admiration and defiance. Yeah. And we're gonna keep working hard, no matter what. A few members of the crowd clapped, standing behind Jack with renewed enthusiasm. Their eyes sparkled with belief. It was as if Paul's taunts had drawn them closer, igniting a shared fire in the room that could flash into something formidable. Paul's smirk faltered, and Jack seized the moment. If you're looking for a way to help, the door is always open. Maybe you should think about becoming part of the solution instead of the problem. Oh? Paul raised an eyebrow in mock amusement. You really think I'd stoop to the level of this workshop? With that, he turned on his heel and walked back toward his car, his shoulders tense and his pride wounded. The crowd stared, speechless at the sudden exit, unsure whether to cheer or reflect on the lingering unease he had brought. The atmosphere shifted, heavy after the confrontation but light with new potential. Laughter erupted as Mia and Clara shared a look, an unspoken promise exchanged. They had faced a challenge and emerged stronger. Jack glanced around the shop at the faces of his supporters. They looked relieved, hopeful. Could they really overcome whatever darkness loomed outside? He swallowed hard, still feeling the weight of Paul's words and the challenge they posed. We can do this, he whispered, half to himself. The crowd erupted into applause, each clap a testament to their newfound unity. But even as they celebrated, Jack felt a twinge of worry. What else might come their way? As the day began to fade, a sense of uncertainty lingered. Could their unity survive future challenges? Would fear creep in again? An idea began to form in Jack's mind. If they really wanted to protect what they were building, they needed to prepare for whatever was next. But how? As night fell, he found himself alone in the dimly lit workshop, the sounds of laughter fading around him. The shadows seemed to pulse with unspoken fears. What did he need to do next to safeguard their fragile hope? Jack took a deep breath, the air thick with determination. Tomorrow would have to bring a new plan, but what exactly would that plan be? Jack woke to the soft golden light filtering through the workshop's windows. It was a new day, and along with it came the flicker of hope. He sat at the workbench, elbow deep in a jumble of tools and wood shavings. Today would be different. With every beat of his heart, he felt their unity from yesterday. It was like a seed planted, ready to sprout into something beautiful. But he needed a plan, a way to nurture that seed and keep it safe from any storm Paul might muster. Mia came in, her enthusiasm flooding the room like a breath of fresh air. Hey Jack, ready for today's workshop? I can feel it's gonna be awesome. Jack shifted his gaze from the disarray on the bench to her bright eyes. She had that infectious spirit that reminded him what they were fighting for. Yeah, I am, he replied, smiling. We're going to make it even better. But I think we need more than just hard work to keep this place strong. What do you mean? She asked, tilting her head. I think we should focus on community. It's more than building things, it's about building bonds. Maybe we can host a big event, something to bring everyone together. Mia's eyes lit up. Like a festival? With games and food? Exactly, Jack replied, feeling the excitement bubble inside him. We can show people what we're capable of. If we can draw in more community members, we'll strengthen our impact. If Paul wants to tear us down, we're not just sitting back. We're standing tall. As Mia began to sketch out ideas, Clara entered, coffee in hand. She paused at the doorway, watching the two of them. What's this? Planning a takeover? More like a celebration, Jack said, showing her the rough drafts. We want to engage with the community, not just have them come to us. We should invite everyone for games, cooking, maybe some workshops on woodworking. Clara's smile spread across her face. I love it. It gives people a stake in what we're building here. It's a chance to show how this workshop is a space for everyone, not just us. Their energy was infectious. Soon, The three of them spent hours drafting plans for the event. Ideas flowed: face painting for kids, a potluck for food, and booths showcasing the work done at the workshop. They could even invite local musicians to bring life to the day. The day rolled on, their laughter mingling with enthusiastic discussions. As afternoon melted into evening, Jack felt hope wrap around him like a warm blanket. Felt real, like they could make this happen. But somewhere in the back of his mind, he could still hear Paul's derisive words echoing as he left the workshop. That evening, once again alone in his thoughts, Jack pondered the vulnerability of their plans. Could this celebration shield them from outside negativity? Would it be enough to fend off not just Paul, but any others who might doubt their progress? He banished those doubts for now, focusing on the vibrant energy they had created. Words flooded his mind as he envisioned the smiles of community members enjoying their efforts. All he needed was to keep that spirit alive. His resolve solidified. Tomorrow they would spread the word about the festival. They would invite the whole community and show them what they had built, brick by brick. Jack's heart raced with anticipation at the thought. As darkness began to envelop the workshop, Jack glanced at the makeshift poster they had created during the day, a sign of what's to come. But deep down, he could feel another shadow lurking, a worry that the storm could still come. Sure, they were taking steps forward, but could they truly secure that fragile sense of hope? As he walked out of the shop, he felt a weight pressing on him. What if Paul had allies ready to strike back? The thought lingered as Jack stepped into the night, determined to prepare for the unexpected. But little did he know, a surprising twist was already waiting for him just around the corner. The next morning dawned bright and clear, but Jack felt a tight knot in his stomach as he stepped inside the workshop. The sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the warm wood and tools around him. But his mind was clouded with thoughts of Paul and his possible retaliation. Mia arrived early, bubbling with updates and excitement. "I've been thinking about who we should invite," she exclaimed, practically bouncing as she set down a stack of flyers. "We should hit up the community center, the schools, and even the farmers market. Everyone needs to know about our festival." Jack nodded, feeling the weight in his chest slightly lift. "That's a great idea, Mia. The more people we reach, the stronger we'll be." Little moments of joy like this felt precious, fleeting, and he wanted to hold on to every one of them. Clara soon joined them, carrying warm pastries from the local bakery. "Thought I'd bring something sweet to kick off our day," she said, laying the treats on the table. "A little sugar for big dreams." They ate together, crunching on buttery croissants, the pastries merging with laughter and planning. As they discussed their outreach strategy, Jack couldn't help but feel the warmth generated by their camaraderie. Even the thought of Paul faded into the background, a distant noise against the symphony of hope they were orchestrating. Later in the day, they headed out to distribute flyers. Jack, with Mia and Clara by his side, went door to door in the neighborhood. "What if nobody shows up?" he blurted out, the thought creeping back in. Mia paused mid-stride, looking him square in the eye. "Jack, they will. People want connection. Maybe they just need someone to invite them." Her words grounded him. They were planting seeds of hope and community effort, and he had to believe they would take root. As they ventured deeper into the neighborhood, they encountered different faces. Some were warm and welcoming, others skeptical. An elderly woman with a cane raised an eyebrow. "What's this all about?" she asked, her voice sharp. Jack stepped forward. "We're hosting a festival, games, food, music to bring everyone together. It's our way of supporting each other." Her gaze softened, and he could see curiosity replacing doubt. "Sign me up then, young man," she smiled, taking the flyer. "We could use some fun around here." With each interaction, Jack felt a flicker of confidence ignite within him. The doubts began to dissipate. But as they approached the last house, a faded blue cottage with chipped paint, his heart raced. This was Paul's home. What if he was inside? What if he came out and caused trouble? Mia noticed his hesitation. "You okay, Jack?" Jack swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Yeah. Just, can't help but worry sometimes." He took a deep breath and knocked on the door. When it swung open, he was met by an unexpected sight. Standing there was a teenage girl, maybe 12 or 13, her expression guarded but curious. "What do you want?" she asked bluntly. Before he could respond, a voice startled them from behind. Paul stepped into the doorway, arms crossed and face stern, glaring at Jack and his friends. "What are you doing in my neighborhood?" he barked, tension filling the air like a thick fog. Jack's heart sank. "We're just promoting a festival. We believe it can help the community, bring everyone together." Paul's eyes narrowed. "Sounds like a waste of time to me." For a moment, Jack thought this could be a confrontation. But as he scanned the scene, he noticed the girl's skeptical expression shifting ever so slightly. She looked between her father and Jack, the conflict playing out in her young eyes. Before Paul could say more, she piped up, "But wouldn't a festival be fun?" The question hung in the air, pregnant with possibility. Jack met her gaze, sensing an opening. What would happen next? Would this moment become the breakthrough they needed, or would it be crushed under Paul's indifference? Jack held onto that hope as the tension danced around them, waiting for the next move. Paul's face twisted in frustration, but he didn't respond immediately. The silence stretched, thick and palpable, as Jack's heart raced. He was struck by the contrast between father and daughter, one hardened by life, the other ripe with innocence and enthusiasm. "Fun?" Paul finally sneered. "That's your big selling point? Fun doesn't change life." His voice dripped with cynicism, but the girl looked unfazed. "I think it could," she countered, her voice steady. "People want to feel happy. Isn't that enough?" Her eyes sought Jack's, a flicker of kinship between them like an unspoken alliance. Paul shifted uncomfortably, still crossing his arms like a barrier against the world. "What do you know about life? You're just a kid." The girl shrugged, undeterred. "I know what it feels like when nobody wants to do anything, and we're stuck. Festival sounds nice. It'd be different." Jack's heart warmed at her courage. She wasn't backing down. She was fighting for something she believed in. "It really would, sir," he said, stepping in. "This festival is more than just fun. It's about building connections. It's about creating a space where kids like your daughter can dream and grow, where neighbors can come together. Isn't that valuable?" Paul's lips pressed into a thin line. Jack could see the gears turning in his mind. Would he let his daughter's wish influence him? Would he risk vulnerability for the sake of her happiness? Jack held his breath, hoping to catch a glimpse of something human behind Paul's hardened exterior. The girl nudged her father gently. "Please, Dad?" A flicker of conflict crossed Paul's expression. He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, the girl tugged at his sleeve, her eyes shining with determination. "You said we needed more for us. Everyone else is doing something. Why not this?" For a brief moment, a crack appeared in Paul's stern demeanor. I don't know, his voice softened just a fraction, but it was enough. Mia, sensing the shift, chimed in. "Just think about it. A safe space where everyone can come together, share stories, and build connections. That's powerful. Changes things." Jack watched as Paul's expression slowly morphed from hostility to contemplation. It felt like a fragile bridge was being formed before him, a bridge Jack desperately wanted to cross. "I don't know what you plan to do, but it's not as simple as you think," Paul said finally, his voice low. "Things don't just change overnight." The girl remained hopeful. "But every big change starts somewhere, right?" She smiled at Jack and Mia, her enthusiasm infectious. Paul sighed, his resolve slipping with every word exchanged. "Fine," he relented, though the hesitation still lingered in his tone. "I'll think about it, but I don't want any trouble." Jack's heart leaped at the opportunity. "Thank you. That's all we ask. Just think about coming by and bringing your daughter along." The girl bounced slightly, her spirit lighting up the dim doorway. "I can't wait to help out." As they walked away, excitement tingled in the air between Jack, Mia, and Clara. "Did you see that?" Clara exclaimed, thrilled. "She really got through to him." "Yeah, but this is just the beginning," Jack said, his heart still racing. "Paul's not an easy man. We have to keep pushing even when it's uncomfortable. This community needs us. Mia nodded. It's a start. Maybe today we gave them hope. Yet even as they shared their victory, Jack couldn't help but feel a knot of anxiety unfurl within him. Would Paul truly come around? And what would happen if he didn't? The specter of conflict still loomed, but for now, they had made a chink in Paul's armor. As they walked away from the cottage, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was a pivotal moment, one that would shape not just the festival, but the very soul of their community. Let us keep that momentum going, he said, glancing back at the house. We can't stop now. Suddenly, the sound of a slamming door echoed behind them. Jack turned just in time to see Paul step onto the porch, looking troubled yet resolute. Hold on, he called out, his voice commanding yet uncertain, leaving Jack's heart pounding. What would Paul say next? Paul's voice cut through the air, thick with tension. Jack turned, anticipation flooding his senses as Paul's deep breaths echoed in the silence. He could see the crop of uncertainty in Paul's brow, the way his fists clenched at his sides. It was clear this conversation was turning into something more than just a simple discussion. What is it? Jack asked, carefully reading Paul's expression, trying to decipher the battle raging inside him. I'll think about it, Paul repeated, but there was a deeper intensity in his eyes this time. But I don't want you to mislead her. This isn't just about fun. We have real struggles. We can't pretend everything will be magically better because of a festival. Clara's face paled slightly, the weight of her father's words settling on her shoulders. She stepped closer to him, her small hand tugging at his shirt, pleading silently for understanding. We know that, sir, Jack responded, his voice steady and full of sincerity. This isn't one quick fix. The festival is a start. It's a step towards building something more. We want to create a community where everyone can talk, share, and lift each other up. It's about more than just one day, it's about connecting people who might think they're alone. Paul's hardened expression softened just a fraction, a flicker of something almost vulnerable passing over his face. And what if it doesn't work? What if this community you want to build doesn't come together? Then we try again. That's what people do, Mia interjected, her passion surging to the forefront. We keep trying, keep moving forward. It's hard, but it's also necessary. Look around, she gestured widely, taking in the empty streets and tired storefronts. This is not how we want to live. Jack nodded in agreement, feeling the energy of their small group. Clara's eyes sparkled with hope, and he couldn't help but think that this was the spark they needed. Paul, visibly grappling with his own thoughts, ran a hand through his hair, a habit that spoke volumes of his inner turmoil. I just don't want her to get her hopes up for something that might not happen. She deserves more than that. Then help us make it happen, Jack urged, stepping forward slightly. You can be part of this change. You're an important piece of the puzzle. Paul seemed to consider this, a storm of emotions warring within him. Maybe, he admitted slowly, his thoughts weighing heavy. But I can't promise anything. Clara's voice emerged, soft yet determined. Dad, all I want is to try. Can't we try? Her innocence pierced through Paul's defenses, and Jack could see at the hint of a smile struggling to break free behind the scowl. The air between them shifted. Jack could almost feel a new flame of possibility flicker into existence. We will make this work, he said, quiet conviction coloring his words. And we will do it together. Paul looked at his daughter and then at Jack and Mia. It was a moment suspended in time, a fragile, powerful chance for change that hung by a thread. Would he take it? Suddenly, Paul straightened up, a new resolve overtaking him. Okay, he said finally, his tone wavering but full of cautious hope. I'll get involved. I can't guarantee I'll be perfect, but I'll help if it matters that much to Clara. The relief that washed over Jack was palpable, a collective breath shared among them. Clara beamed, her happiness contagious as she squeezed her father's arm. Thank you, Dad, she exclaimed, her voice filled with pure joy. But just as the atmosphere brightened, the sound of distant sirens and shouting broke through, reminding them of the reality that loomed beyond their fragile moment. Paul's expression hardened again, his protective instinct kicking in. This isn't over. You need to be careful about who you involve yourself with. Jack felt a chill penetrate his excitement. Was there something darker lurking beneath the surface? A part of him wondered what Paul was shielding them from. And as Paul gathered Clara and turned to retreat back into the house, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something far more complicated. Stay close, Jack called after them, uncertainty knotting in his stomach. Clara turned back briefly, the light in her eyes dimming slightly as she nodded. We will. We promise. Yet as the door shut behind them, Jack couldn't shake the gnawing feeling that they had opened a door to new challenges, and the stakes were just beginning to rise. What unseen forces were about to disrupt their fragile hope for change? Jack stood in the now quiet street, the echo of the door clicking shut reverberating in his mind. He glanced at Mia, who bit her lip thoughtfully, her eyes fixed on the spot where Clara and Paul had just stood. Do you think he really means it? Mia asked, crossing her arms against the cool evening air. I want to believe he does, Jack replied, his voice low. But I can't shake this feeling. Something's off. Paul seems angry, scared even. It's like he's guarding something more than just Clara. Mia nodded slowly, understanding flickering in her gaze. Their plans for the festival felt hopeful, but the shadows lurking around them seemed to cling too tightly. We should talk more with him. Get him to trust us, she suggested, a glimmer of determination shining through her initial doubts. Yeah, but how? Jack pondered. I don't want to scare him away. Asking questions might help. The more he shares, the more we can understand what's really at stake for him. They both turned to face the empty street, the muted sounds of the town swaying just beyond their reach. Jack felt the weight of responsibility settle around his shoulders like a heavy cape. They needed to change things, and Paula's support was crucial, but they had to tread carefully. After a moment, he glanced back at Mia, determination reigniting within him. Let us outline what we want for the festival. If we can show Paul how it could truly benefit the community, he might feel more at ease getting involved. Mia smiled, her enthusiasm flickering back to life. Right? Let us start laying out activities, the kind that encourages real connections. Games, food stalls, maybe even an information booth. Something to draw people out and get them talking. Jack could see the excitement bulging in her eyes. And we can invite local artists. Make it a true showcase of what our community has to offer. Great idea. We need to get the word out, though. Mia's mind was racing, and Jack felt the energy between them shift into something productive, hopeful even. Just then, the distant sound of voices grew louder as pedestrians began to spill into the street. Jack turned, caught off guard by the sudden influx of people drawn in by the commotion. A man shouted for calm over the crowd, his voice grim. What's happening? Mia asked, taking a step closer to Jack. No idea. Jack hated how the uncertainty made his stomach churn. He felt a sense of foreboding wash over him as the crowd surged forward, curiosity mingling with a lingering fear. They moved cautiously toward the group, trying to discern the whispers. Flashes of anger and pain flared amongst the chatter. An older woman in the front cried out, her voice choked with emotion. They're threatening to close the park. Without it, where will our kids play? Jack exchanged glances with Mia, feelings of dread creeping in. The park was more than just a recreational area. It was a safe haven for families. Hey, he shouted, trying to get the attention of the crowd. What's going on? What do you mean they're closing the park? A man broke from the front of the crowd, his face flushed with urgency. There are plans to sell the land for development. We're trying to gather support to stop it. Jack felt his heart race. This was the very fabric of the community they were trying to build. The hope they wished to kindle through the festival was now at risk. He couldn't stand by and watch that happen. Turning to Mia, he declared, we have to rally everyone. The Paul is scared. This isn't just about him. It's about everyone here, about Clara's future. Mia nodded, fire igniting in her eyes. Let us do it. We can't lose this chance. Gathering their energy, they pushed into the crowd, ready to turn panic into action. Jack felt a swell of urgency as they sought to unite their neighbors not just for the park, but for a greater cause. But as he stood before the crowd, he couldn't ignore one nagging thought: how deep were the roots of the struggles that bound them all? What other truths lay hidden? With a resolve bubbling inside, he raised his voice above the chaos, ready to start a movement of change. And as he looked into the faces around him, a question floated in the air. What sacrifices would they have to make to protect their community's heart? Jack took a deep breath, his heart pounding as he faced the crowd. The flicker of lanterns strung above cast a warm glow on the anxious faces, mingling with the cool evening air. This was their moment, this was the pulse of their community, and he could feel it thrumming. "Listen up," he called, his voice cutting through the rising tension. "I know many of you are worried about the park." The crowd shifted, eyes locked on him. Mia stood beside him, ready to support. "We can't just stand by and let someone take away our space, our family's space. We won't let them sell our home." A murmur rippled through the crowd, a mixture of agreement and apprehension. Jack could see determination setting in, but anger sparked like firecrackers. It was full of potential, but also unpredictable. "We need to show them that our park isn't just land, it's where our children learn to ride bikes, where neighbors come together for barbecues, where memories are made." The people were listening. He could feel the energy shifting, growing. They had lived through struggles together, shared dreams in that park. There was power in their connection. Mia stepped up, her voice strong and clear. "Let us organize a meeting. We can gather everyone, every parent, every friend, every supporter. We'll make signs, write letters. We can show the developers that this is a community that fights for what's right." Cheers erupted from the crowd, a chorus of voices rising like a wave. Jack felt his spirit lift. "Right. We'll meet tomorrow at the park." Jack continued, the adrenaline coursing through him. "Let us spread the word. This isn't just about saving a park. It's about standing up for our community, for our kids." He could see fire in their eyes now, the fear giving way to determination. Faces that had been muted with anxiety now sparkled with hope. As the crowd rallied around them, Jack felt an unfamiliar mix of hope and trepidation. They were tapping into something powerful, but what if it would only push Paul further away? He looked at Mia, who beamed with pride, and he understood it didn't matter what had once held them back. They were not just fighting for land. They were reclaiming purpose. Once the crowd began to dissipate, Jack found himself alone with Mia under the lantern's soft glow. "Do you think we can really pull this off?" he asked, his voice quieter now. "I know we can," she replied, her smile unwavering. "We're stronger together. And trust me, if we can connect to Paul, he'll see how important this is." But even as she said it, the doubts crept back. What if their push only made things worse? And what about the community's fears? As he rubbed the back of his neck, uncertainty gnawed at him. Emotions coiled tight in his chest. Just then, a child dashed by, laughing, oblivious to the worries of the adults. "Hey, look," she yelled, holding a hastily made sign that read "Save the Park." That simple joy sliced through Jack's hesitation. He turned to Mia, his resolve hardening. "Tomorrow we'll tell Paul what's happening. We'll ask him to help lead this charge. If we show him how much it matters to all of us." "Yeah, it's time for him to be brave too," Mia agreed. But as Jack walked away, leaving the fading excitement of the gathering behind, a new question weighed on his mind. Would Paul feel the surge of community they had just ignited, or would he retreat further into his fear, locking them all out? That night, Jack lay awake, the shadows of his uncertainty pressing down, yearning for answers. Because if this plan fell apart, what would they all lose? The sun rose the next day, bathing Maplewood in a gorgeous glow that sparkled like fresh hope. Jack stood outside the workshop, glancing around at the familiar streets where he'd walked more times than he could count. Today felt different. It was more than just another day. A spirit of unity hummed in the air, bubbling with anticipation. As he walked inside, he could see Mia already bustling about, her hands tracing over the flyers they'd prepared for the park meeting. "Hey, Dad, the kids from school are excited. They're ready to make signs and spread the word." Her sheer enthusiasm ignited something deep within him. "That's amazing, Mia. We need that kind of energy," Jack replied, a grin forming on his lips. If they could rally the kids, they stood a good chance of showing the community how much they all cared. Clara arrived soon after, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. "I can feel it today," she said, her warmth wrapping around him. "This is your moment, Jack. The community needs you just as much as you need them." As they made their plans, Jack's heart raced. The festival was only days away, and they needed to ensure the park meeting afterwards was a powerful first step toward protection. But just as he was feeling the excitement rise, an unsettling thought crossed his mind. What if Paul still wasn't ready to step up? Mia sensed his apprehension. "You okay?" she asked, looking up with those keen, knowing eyes. "Yeah, what if he doesn't feel the way we do? What if he's still too locked up from whatever's troubling him?" Jack worried aloud. "Then we'll help him. We can show him," Mia replied confidently. "People can change." Together, they spent the morning calling neighbors, spreading the news about the meeting at the park that evening. The energy scaled. Promises of support flowed in rapidly, and the community seemed to awaken, rising to a new purpose. As dusk descended, Jack stood next to the park gates. A crowd pooling around him, faces familiar. Strangers too, all gathered as one. Clara held Mia's hand, beaming with pride. "Thank you all for coming," Jack called out, his voice bursting with energy. "This park is more than just a place, it's our community center. A canvas for our children's laughter and our family memories. We can't let anyone take that away." Cheers erupted, swells of encouragement washing over him like warm waves. He spotted Paul standing back a bit, scowling with unease yet enveloped by the strong tide of community spirit. Could he overcome his fears? Jack took a deep breath. "Let us show everyone how much this means. Together, we're rallying not just to save the park, but to preserve the heart of Maplewood." With that, Mia led the kids forward, their excitement palpable. The near-silent whispers of people talking turned to shouts of enthusiasm. Signs being waved proudly shouted, "Save our park," and "Community strong." Then Jack turned his gaze toward Paul, taking a bold step. "Paul, we need your voice. Stand with us." For a moment, everything seemed still. Paul hesitated, eyes darting to the crowd, to Clara, to Mia. That vulnerability he'd shown seemed like a distant memory. But now, the thrumming pulse of the community called to him. Paul started, but his voice faltered as he took a step forward. "Let him speak." A voice rang out, amplifying uncertainty into curiosity. The crowd quieted as Paul took a deep breath. "A man on a precipice. I'm not sure, I've struggled with believing this could work, but I see you all standing here," he acknowledged, his expression scrunching in a mix of warmth and worry. "I don't want Clara's dreams crushed. And if we're gonna make this happen, then I'll support you. We have to fight for what's important." Applause erupted, a swell of rejoicing that reverberated through the park, and Jack felt as if a weight had lifted. It was more than just support. This was a united front against adversity. Mia skipped over to Paul, her face alight with wonder. "See, Dad? You can do it," she exclaimed, beaming with pride that they had pulled him in. As they began brainstorming ideas and strategies for their meeting, each word wrapped around them, creating a cocoon of shared resilience. Ideas flowed, dreams mixing with friendly laughter, a far cry from the dark silence surrounding Jack just weeks before. Still, a shadow lingered. Through the joy, Jack couldn't help but wonder about the other changes they would still need to face, the challenges still looming on the horizon, and what other corners of doubt still needed to be illuminated. Later that night, the park hummed with excitement, a vibrant celebration of community spirit. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with oranges and purples, Jack stood arm in arm with Clara, staring out at the beautiful chaos they had created. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Clara breathed, her eyes sparkling as she looked at the families playing and laughing around them. Jack nodded, warmth bubbling in his chest. I think we really might be onto something here. Not just for ourselves, but for so many. Together," she added, squeezing his hand tightly. And in that moment, Looking at the collective joy displayed before him, Jack finally grasped how powerful community truly could be, an interconnected lifeline that could combat the darkest of shadows. "It's going to take work," he murmured, heart hopeful yet aware. "Yes," Clara smiled, "but together we can take it step by step." As they watched children chase fireflies beneath the twinkling stars, Jack felt an enduring fire ignite within, a belief that they could face whatever came next together, no matter how daunting. In that shared warmth, a new chapter unfurled, a testament of resilience, unity, and love. As they began their dance of hope and togetherness, the heart of Maplewood had never felt so full. Now the path ahead remained unwritten, but they were ready to brave it, one step at a time. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach even more hearts. Comment below your feelings about this ending and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. This is the moment to show your support and join the journey.